Hi everyone, for today's video, I decided that it's going to be a get that look video. So I am going to be recreating a makeup look that I did on myself. This was the makeup look that I wore when I was cast for a TV advert for a local telecom company a few months back. And the reason why I decided to do this video and to recreate this look is because every so often I get messages from men asking me how they can put on makeup. Now, their concerns basically when they ask me about how they could put on their makeup is how many products do I need? Do I need to buy a ton of brushes? Things like that. And truthfully, the makeup look that I did on myself was very, very simple and I used very minimal tools. So I think that in me sharing my makeup process for that TV advert, a lot of men can learn something from this. Okay, first things first, it's very, very simple. You have to have your skincare on. Now, I already have my normal skincare. So I have vitamin C serum and some hyaluronic acid and some under eye cream. Now, the thing that's very, very important for me when I am doing makeup for film or TV is that I have to have some sunscreen. Now, this is very important because the lights when you're shooting is very, very strong. And also, it just helps to protect your skin, just so that you are able to maintain clear, smooth, and even skin. So I'm just gently massaging the sunscreen into my face just so I would have an even coverage. Now, the sunscreen that I am using is actually silicone based, so it is not mineral based. And when I say mineral based, it's not something that has titanium dioxide and zinc oxide in it, because those ingredients can create a white cast on the skin. So a silicone based like this will actually help not change the color of your skin tone. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this set a bit so that it would form a film over my skin. And it's supposed to act like some sort of barrier that keeps all of my moisture from evaporating on my skin. Okay, so I'm gonna move a little closer. Okay, so the foundation that I am using today is the matte poreless foundation from Maybelline. And I am only using my fingers to apply this all over my skin, and I'm only using a very, very light coverage because I don't need a full coverage of foundation on my skin. And the main reason why I like using this is because it is a matte formula and it's also readily available in the department stores here in the Philippines. Now, I have noticed that when I am putting on makeup for men, they would prefer if their makeup doesn't look like they're wearing makeup, and that is in itself quite a challenge. Now, when you're choosing the color of the foundation, make sure that you match the color of your skin tone. And sometimes I even feel that it's much more better if you have a foundation which is tone darker, because it just helps not to make it very, very obvious. I actually have a much more darker tone of foundation on my skin right now for a number of reasons. Well, mainly is because when I am in front of the shooting lights, it would wash me out. So having a darker shade of foundation will actually help keep my face from not being washed out. So that's very, very important. Now, as you can see, I also have my beard on. So this is like my full beard. And the main reason why I am wearing a beard is because they wanted me to have a full beard when I am shooting for the advert. Now, one other thing, if you have a beard and if you want to put makeup on, make sure that you don't apply foundation onto the beard, because this will lighten the color of your beard and it can cause patchiness. And also, like the formula of the foundation will cling onto your beard. So that's why it's very, very important that you find a foundation that matches your skin exactly. And one other thing, when you are choosing foundation for yourself, you have to know what kind of skin type you have, because if you have dry skin and you are using matte foundations for yourself, it's going to be very obvious that you have makeup on because the foundation will sit on top of the skin. So if you have dry skin, you have to use foundation that has moisturizing benefits in it. And if you have oily skin, go for a matte formula. Now, I have oily skin. That's the reason why I'm using a mattifying foundation. Now, the great thing also about this is that I don't need to set my face with powder because this dries down to a matte finish. Now, I know that my skin is oily and I know the spots of my skin where it's oily. So those are the spots that I would put powder on just to minimize shine. I know it's intimidating for some boys to put on makeup, but actually if you just get past that threshold, it's going to be very, very easy. And you know, you don't have to do it every day. You can only do it as needed. Oh, one other thing, if you're also putting on makeup on yourself, even if it's on a daily basis or if you're having a Zoom meeting, try to blend some of the foundation into your ears as well, just so that it creates a much more tonal look on your skin. Okay, so now that I'm happy with the coverage of my foundation, it's time to go and use concealer. Okay, my advice when you're using concealer is that try not to use a concealer which is super duper light, especially for the under eye area. The main reason is because this will make you look too feminine. Not unless if that's the look that you're going for, but if you just want to avoid looking like you have too much makeup on, try to avoid using concealer which is too light for your skin tone. Because like when I'm doing makeup for men, I try to make sure that their skin looks even. I only highlight when it's necessary, but my goal primarily is to make their skin look healthy and bright. So again, as you can see, I'm just using my fingers to blend the products together. The concealer that I'm using is not my regular concealer that I've used in some of my makeup videos. This is a tad darker than my regular concealer, but I like using this because it brightens my under eye area without making it too white or too obvious. But it definitely did lift the dark spots, especially in the inner corner of my eye. So again, just blend everything. Okay, now with whatever residue that I have left on my finger, I'm just gonna lightly dab it on my eyelids just to brighten up the area with very minimal product. Okay, so now let's cover some spots. Now I have a spot here. So with my under eye concealer here, I'm just going to get some of this. And for this, I'm going to be using a brush. You can even use your fingers for this. So let's try using our fingers for that. And let's just gently pat that in. Okay, so we have the initial coverage. And with a brush, well, I have to use a brush for this because this is a very, very specific area. And I'm just gonna cover that. Now, I know that there's some boys who don't like to buy makeup brushes because it can be quite expensive. But you know, it really is up to you because you can use your fingers for practically applying everything. Eyeshadow, foundation, lipstick, concealer, things like that. And it really depends in how much you would like to spend for your makeup routine. If you have blemishes and you only wanted to apply at specific spots, a brush would really help. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply a little bit of color and I'm going to be using some blush. Now, it's really up to you if you want to do this next step, but sometimes when you're putting on makeup for the first time and when you put foundation on, sometimes you think that your face has lost its color, and that's the reason why I like to put on some blush, just so that, you know, it just brings back the life into the face. So this is something that you can consider, but if you don't want to do this, you don't have to do this. So what I'm doing right now is I'm applying a very nice muted blush color. So this actually is like a brownish orangey blush, which will work well with my skin tone. And I'm just applying it gently on top of my cheekbones, and I'm blending it with my fingers. Again, when I am blending it, I'm just blending it on my cheek area, and I am not dragging the product down into my beard area, just to avoid some discoloration. Oh! Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm mixing the foundation and the concealer together, and I am just going to also cover my nose scar that I have here. This is where my ring light fell on me a few months back, and I'm just glad that it's healing properly and it's healing well. Okay, so let's drag some of that color down, and I'm going to use this as my highlight for the bridge of my nose. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so now that I'm happy with my blush, I'm going to set some parts of my face, which I know is oily, so that's around my T-zone area, and also I'm going to set my under eye area. So I'm just dabbing on some powder lightly, Now, if you do decide to use some powder, just be very light-handed with your application, because if you use too much powder, it's going to be very obvious that you're wearing makeup. And if you use way too much powder, it's gonna look very, very cakey. Okay, so I'm gonna set also the area where I put some concealer onto my blemish. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to enhance my eyebrows. Now, I'm not going to overdraw my eyebrows, but I'm just going to fill in the gaps just so that I don't lose any definition on them. So what I'm doing is I'm just actually following the growth of my eyebrow hair, and I'm just gently filling them in. And as you can see, I'm using downward strokes. This is mainly because it's much more easier to apply color to your eyebrows that way. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush my brows in place. Now, I'm not really fond of filling in my scar. I just let that be, but it's nice to have some balance and definition. Because after all, our goal for boy makeup is not to look like you have makeup at all. So actually, the shoot that I was casted for was my first gig back during the pandemic, and it was very nice to be back in my element. It was a bit scary at first to go back to work, but then again, you know, each and every one of us had to be tested before we were allowed to go into the shooting premises, and everybody who was there was negative. Now, the thing that I have also noticed is that there is actually someone who is in charge of taking care of facial masks. Now, throughout the entire shooting process, I must have changed facial mask 15 times because because from the makeup room, I would go straight onto the set, and then I would be wearing a mask on, and then just before shooting I would have to remove the mask, and they would have to throw that mask away because that mask was already exposed to the elements. So somebody would come in and give me a new mask. Also, one thing that I have to say, this foundation had very minimal transfer to the mask, so I was very glad about that. And if there's anything that transferred into the mask, it would always be the powder, because the powder would just sit on top of your skin. Okay, so my brows are perfect, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to set them, and I'm actually going to be setting them with some mascara just so that it looks a little bit fluffier and darker. This will also keep my hairs in place. And one other thing that I also did for this look is that I also had to cover some of the white hairs that's showing onto my beard. So the mascara that I use for my eyebrows is also the mascara I'm going to use to cover the whites of my beard. So this is very easy, you know, because the main reason why I'm doing this, I don't usually do this in normal life if I'm wearing my beard, but the main reason why I'm doing this is because the white spots that you see here from my beard, when you see it on camera, it looks like I have a hole in this part. So covering it with some mascara just helps in creating a much more even look on screen. And I'm also quite lucky in a way that my beard grows this way. Like I didn't really have to go to a barber to have my beard sculpted. I just remove some of the excess growth that's making it look a little bit bushy in some parts. Also, one other thing, you can see that I have a spot here where I don't get a lot of hair growth, unlike this part of my beard. So what I do is I just dab the mascara wand on that part just to create some texture and like an illusion that I have hair there. So now I'm getting a spoolie and I'm just blending everything. So one other thing that you have to be very careful when you are putting on makeup on your beard is that you don't overdo it, because like for me, when I overdo it, it's going to make my face look even smaller, and it's just going to look like it's fake. So just try to make sure that when you color your beard, to make it look as natural as possible, because if you overdo it, that's the only thing that people will see when they look at you. And last but not the least, of course, some lip balm. Very, very important. Always keep your lips hydrated and kissable. So this is my complete look. This is what I wore for the TV advert that I starred in, which was released a few weeks back. If you're interested in seeing the TV advert, I'm gonna put a link down on the description box so that you can go check that out. And if you're a boy who's wanted to try to put on some makeup, I hope that in me showing you that you can only use a very minimal amount of products, you don't have to use a lot, you're able to create a nice, even look without looking that you're wearing too much makeup. So I hope that this video proves to be helpful, and if you have any more questions about the makeup look that I did today and the products that I use, please leave them in the comments box below and let's have a conversation about this. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you're having a good day wherever you are. Bye bye. So I hope that this video proves to be